While Toron spent a lot of time using in the same sentence words of folio and portfolio, I realized I kind of hadn't ever thought that, okay, portfolio, what it is, I don't know, it's a fat leather map that you can carry, and turns out that folio from the design and publishing side comes as a sheet in a book, and so portfolio is something that is going to hold all of these sheets together. So, the miking part, and then we can move on to Marek Lewandowski and go into the question of big picture and portfolio management. Cool, yeah.
Hello, okay. Hi everyone. My name is Marek Lewandowski, and I'm very excited to be here to show you what our perspective on project and portfolio management is. And I'm working for SoftwarePlant, working with our SoftwarePlant team. The topic for this presentation is Big is Beautiful: Project Portfolio Management in Big Picture by SoftwarePlant. So before we get started, a few words about our company. SoftwarePlant was founded in 2015, so we can say that we are still a startup. We have a couple of products available on Atlassian's marketplace. Those include BigPicture, our main flagship product; BigGant, which is a light version, does not have all the modules of the BigPicture project management suite; BigTemplate, for managing templates and basically exporting detailed information into previously stylized electronic documents; BigPicture Enterprise, which is an expansion set tool for large organizations to BigPicture; and Role Extension, another plugin that is currently in development. So our company is located in Warsaw, Poland. We just moved to a great new office. Right now we have over 60 people, more than 40 people in R&D. Growing very fast. 2 years ago when I joined SoftwarePlant, we were only 13. And we're an Atlassian Platinum top vendor and staffed big plugin. Very popular. So about the plugin, 4 years altogether on the market, over 3 million users. Currently 15,000 companies are using our product. So we're growing, and companies are also growing thanks to our help. That's our goal. So our products are available for JIRA Server as an add-on or an app, for data center, as well as for JIRA Cloud. And we also launched our Big Picture Power App for Trello, which is free of charge. So and there are no plans to monetize it at that point. So I would definitely recommend, if you like Trello, then you'll find the plugin very useful. And let's go into some more details. So introduction to Big Picture. What is Big Picture and how to use it? Thanks to previous presentations, you already have an idea that, well, it is complicated. Yes, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that needs to get done, and Big Picture will help you, but it will not resolve all your problems. And Big Picture in general is, as I said, a project portfolio management suite, which uses the concept of a program as a basic container. So what is a program? Program, as the name by definition, is a collection of projects. In case of Big Picture, it can be a collection of JIRA projects. But remember that this is a software tool, okay? And this is important that you understand that, well, you know, the tool might be designed for one thing, but it might be also do very well in different areas. So remember that, because programs is a perfect example. Program can include all your JIRA projects. Okay, it can be a couple of projects. It can be a single business project as well, or actually any number of JIRA issues. So this is a screen of the of a list of created programs. As an example, it's a high-level overview. Each program has links to different BigPicture modules. It has a name. It has a start and end date. It also has a program leader. But this is still at a very high level. We're very flexible in that sense that it's very easy to work with BigPicture and very easy to manage your program. What do I mean by that? Changing the scope, it takes a couple of seconds. So from a single business project to a portfolio overview, we can do it in a couple of seconds, actually. There are three ways, basically, to define the scope of the program. In other words, which JIRA work items will be pulled in and synchronized with BigPicture. Those include boards, previously saved JQL filters, and projects, but of course boards are also defined using a JQL, and a project can be also easily expressed using a JQL. So beneath all that, there's always a JQL. To narrow the scope, for example, create a high-level overview of my projects, I may be Epic level only, I can simply add this extra filtering condition at the program configuration level, or I can do the same within a program. So what's really cool about BigPicture is you can create those programs for different purpose. For reporting, a separate one. For your more operational stuff, a separate one. For portfolio overview, a separate one. They can have a similar or even the same content, but they'll be configured differently. BigPicture also allows you to select which modules will be available to users. And from my experience, a lot of Agile teams have something personal with Mr. Gantt for some reason. I don't really know that why. So what you can do here is, of course, you can hide it, although the Gantt chart basically is a very powerful tool. So there's a lot of value there, and I will also demonstrate that. Other than that, jumping a little to our one of the modules view, the navigation, you'll see that there are links to different BigPictures modules, so you can jump from one to the other at any time and get a different perspective on your data. So there are a couple of modules within BigPicture. The Program Manager, which is the main module that I already shown you. The first thing you'll see when you install the plugin, there is the Gantt module, which is currently being redesigned. So a lot of new elements, new features will be added soon. There is the Scope module. The Scope module is already a redesigned, actually, task list of the Gantt chart, specifically for Agile teams who do not really like to estimate using dates, do not like to use the timeline. It's more dynamic in such sense that you can change the aggregations, change the way data is presented and aggregated here and structured without the necessity to opening the program configuration. So it's very user friendly. The user experience is whole different. There's the module for resource management. So just like Tempo, and we have also integrated with Tempo, although it's one-way integration currently, we can manage our resources, display our resources as teams, as individuals, show different effort modes, also show their skills. Of course, in order for that information to be presented, we need some additional data, such as the workload plan, holiday plans, and a set of skills. In Tempo, guys from Tempo refer to it as workload schemes, but basically we can pull out this information, including teams as well. Other than that, we have two modules dedicated for Agile, and this one in particular was designed with the help from guys from Scaled Agile framework. This is what we call a board, but to be exact in the naming, it's a program increment dependency board. So the main purpose of this tool is to visualize your board, make it more interactive. It has a live sync, so it is great for teamwork. You don't have to do screen sharing and so on if you're distributed in different locations. What you can see here real quick is a timeline, a program backlog, which consists of all the JIRA issues that you have as you have defined in the scope. We have the teams, rows and columns, which represent iterations and can be mapped to your sprints. In other words, it's a different way of working with your software board. The great thing about this tool is that we can show the dependencies, healthy, unhealthy dependencies between our cards. Of course, we can plan them, taking into account the capacity limitations, okay? Because it's not only about resolving conflicts, but of course we all have limitations such as the capacity of our resources of our teams, calculated from the burn down charts, of course. And on top of that, you can also show a high-level overview and monitor progress, because currently the tool is not only for planning, it's also to monitor the execution of whatever you're doing, and also to create some basic reports. The last, on top of that, we also have a high-level board called Roadmap, which is designed to show your objectives, okay, that you plan to accomplish in your different program increments or iterations. And of course, again, your high-level objectives have to be linked to your lower-level team's objectives, so you can connect those and demonstrate that the teams are working on a particular objective. Also, here you can measure you can estimate the probable and actual business value and compare the results. Of course, here for every objective, it's not only the objectives. You can actually add any JIRA issue to those lists, and keep track of their status. Mark them as completed, failed, continue to the next iteration, and so on and so forth. Last is the risks module. Risk management is a crucial part of every activity in every industry. Even we're doing it as human beings every day as well, simply by leaving our apartment. We do our, maybe not consciously, but we're doing some kind of an simple risk assessment. So the tool allows you to define your risk matrix. It's customizable, so you can select the descriptions or the select options on the X and Y axis, the values, and it also has a risk register, customizable risk register, so you can at any time show the level of risk as assessed during the risk identification process. So, quick overview, and now into more details. So, BigPicture is a project portfolio management suite that works perfectly well with waterfall, agile, and hybrid or blended methodologies, because not everything is agile. There are, within the agile framework, of course, there are a lot of processes that are there are elements that are strictly agile, but all the other could be as well be called more traditional, managed sequentially. And the plugin allows you to, in our belief, we successfully managed to bridge the gap between those two different approaches. So, as an example of the waterfall and the Gantt chart used for planning and to monitor your project, as you can see, it's we can actually customize the task list, the timeline is not that customizable. But what you can do here is, first of all, generate the work breakdown structure using the available automation, or do it manually. You can use whatever fields. I would say around 95% of those fields in JIRA are supported. Of course, if you have other plugins that have their own custom fields, it might not work, but the good news is that most of the times it's not difficult to implement. So within the next release, we are capable of adding such fields. And using this tool, we can actually configure the task list in such a way that it will generate a simple report. Okay, a lot of customers use our tools combined with other solutions such as Script Runner. Using scripted fields, you can get really powerful reports here. You do calculations on fields which are not available within JIRA. BigPicture does allow to do basic calculations operations within a selected field if it's a numeric field based on numeric fields. There are of course other features that will make your life easier. So what you see here is a quick filter box, search box that utilizes the JQL as well. There's the resources overview and much more. Waterfall, how to synchronize work breakdown structure and customize views. So I already mentioned that we do have the scope module, which was designed to manage your backlog more efficiently. It's basically the same list, but with refreshed layout, okay, and it can be changed, configured by any user. So you don't have to go to the program configuration to change the settings, configure the program, and so on and so forth. Here, each user that has access can add whatever fields there are available within JIRA to this view and create their own reporting view, for example, customizable view. It also includes a work breakdown structure. It's basically the same data. In case of Agile, you can plan iterations for many teams at once. So the cool thing about BigPicture is that it allows you, and it does synchronize with JIRA Agile boards. So instead of showing a single board, okay, and moving from one board to the other, you can actually show all of them in one view. What is important here is how you define the program backlog, program backlog, to include all those work items. We can have with BigPicture Enterprise, which is for large organizations, we can actually synchronize for each team a separate sprint. Okay, so those sprints they do not have to be on the same board. They can be on totally different boards. We can show cross-team dependencies. But also here do much more, which I'll show in a minute. So planning is the first step. Okay, we know what we want to do, but then we want to take into account, okay, we have limited resources. We can't do everything. Yeah, there's always thousands of ideas, but we're not capable of doing everything simultaneously. So we will have to find a way to actually define the capacity, which can be defined using the burn down charts for selected teams or for the whole cadence here. And this tool utilizes not only makes use not only of the story points estimation, but also a lot of our customers who are non-agile teams use the time tracking, the remaining estimate. And the really cool thing about BigPicture is actually you can enable the live sync mode. When the live sync mode is enabled, as soon as the resource user logs work, you will see how this progress bar is reduced by the amount of logged work. of course, with story points, it doesn't work like that. But in case the team does underestimate, okay, which often happens, you will see instantly that, well, they re-estimated, okay, now it exceeds the capacity. In that case, we do have a problem, which of course requires the manager to take actions and maybe replan or take appropriate actions or increase resources. That's the two basic solutions. To monitor what's happening, you can also use the scope module, or as I mentioned earlier, the Gantt module. Using the aggregations, you can change, for example, use the status field and select different aggregations, such as number of issues with a specific status in different status categories, basic indicator using the expressing the information in percentage points. All this is possible. A really cool thing about BigPicture is that you can add the same field multiple times with different aggregation options. And hybrid. What's really cool also is that when moving items here, moving horizontally from iteration, we can actually update the issue dates accordingly. So if you open the Gantt chart, you'll be able to see that, well, all those tasks are aligned in your iterations without the necessity to actually enter any dates for all those issues. So that makes life much simpler, and for non-agile people, it's much easier to understand what's actually happening within the agile world. So there are two types of such integration in the hybrid mode: the precise alignment and smart adjustment. What does it? And by the way, this synchronization is again bidirectional. So whether you update an issue using the board, you move it to the next sprint, or the Gantt chart, or this board view. All of those changes will be applied. There are two ways to synchronize. The precise adjustment means that the start and end date of your issues will exactly match your sprint's start and end date. The second one we call it smart adjustment. It means that we do not necessarily change the duration of the task if it has a start and end date. So we keep that information, and it will be aligned to the start or the end date of the sprint, depending whether you're moving from the previous sprint to the future one or vice versa. So as you can see right now on the Gantt chart, we're capable of showing your iterations. This purple and green areas, they actually correspond to your sprints. So as you can see here, all of those tasks are aligned to the right edge, meaning they were probably moved from a future sprint back to the previous one. And here another great thing is that you can combine the traditional work breakdown structure, more advanced structuring than simply sprints. Okay, show me sprints and show me all the issues that belong to this sprint. So this is how we combine those two different approaches. As for Scaled Agile framework in BigPicture, as already mentioned, you've probably seen this. This is straight from the guidance material, which I do recommend. This is a great framework set of best practice. I'm actually surprised how the IT world is going toward what kind of aviation did several years ago. As I was previously doing some safety management for air traffic. So there's a lot of best practice, and again, as with best practice, your practice might be the second best. So when something is hard to implement, there are always alternatives. But basically, we have safe in mind when we were designing our products. We are also implementing, have implemented, but maybe not completely yet, Scaled Agile framework. And in order to do that successfully, we need tools to visualize the data. Because let's face it, the world gets more and more complicated. What we're doing, our projects get more and more complicated. Cross-program, cross-team dependencies, a lot of factors to be taken into account. So we need a tool that will help us doing so. And that's what we tried to do using the board and the roadmap tool. So as you can see on the screen here, we have our iterations as columns. We have all those tasks and dependencies between them. From big picture perspective, it's actually not relevant if we are talking about a high-level overview, okay, or a lower-level team's perspective. Why? Because it's a matter of issue types, basically, in JIRA. So plugin is capable of displaying anything that you have, any issue types available within JIRA. Epics are a special case because there are this is a work package, so it has some additional there are some additional features related to the epics. So we need a tool to do what people used to do using old traditional boards. But the digital boards have that advantage that, well, we can do stuff that was not possible previously. So we can show the dependencies. There are 4 types of dependencies in BigPicture. Those are standard, but you can use your own mappings, your own links within JIRA. Those are pretty standard, start to end, end to start, end to end, and start to start. How to use them? I do recommend using the default links because there are some automations, especially when you plan to use it with the Gantt chart. There are some automation features that work best with the default links. If you do not plan to use the default links, make sure that they will to disable the automation or find such an alternative that will work with the automation features. So right now, those are our issue cards, and the right edge represents the completion of the task and or whatever issue type it is, and the left edge is the start of the task. So right now we have 2 green, meaning that this card can be only completed after this one is can only be started after this one is completed, and similarly here. So the plugin will help you to identify such unhealthy relations. The second module, which we refer to as the roadmap, can display our objectives, our goals that we plan to accomplish in the future program increment, or the current and future program increments. And we can link our work items into those objectives. So the concept is here that from the high-level objective, we can drill down, like just as from the PI to the iteration, and then to teams. Okay, we can actually link our team objectives to our PI or iteration objectives to demonstrate that they're related, because objective again is high-level idea, so it might involve numerous work items that need to be completed in order to achieve this goal. We can also define the planned and actual business value. Those are the numeric fields from 0 to 10, and the plugin will calculate what is the ratio compared the actual business value to comparing the actual business value to the probable business value, to give you an idea how well you have estimated that. Resource planning. So a little more now about resources. So this is a very powerful module has lots of features. I will not go into that much detail, but basically, we again trying to answer a question: can we deliver in the specified time what we plan to deliver? We need resources, and by resources, of course, it's not only human resources; it's also the non-human resources, okay, such as equipment, such as software, and so on and so forth. So a lot of customers actually, as non-human resources are not supported yet, they actually use JIRA dummy accounts to simulate them. And what we have implemented is a small trick that will make that doable. This module can display our list of users, our resources, and a timeline with different information such as the capacity resulting from the workload plan, reduced, of course, if the resource is not available. It can also show the actual allocation, the remaining allocation, and I think that's, and we can display this information in 3 different effort modes, meaning the first one, initial at planning, is the original estimate, which is basically even, depending on the configuration, evenly distributed over the duration period. We also have the remaining estimate, which is more for monitoring. So this is a bit more advanced than the original estimate. In that sense, it takes the remaining and logged work, and again, evenly distributes it over the future and past duration. And we can also show the story points here, show it not only as individuals, but also as teams, so the team allocations. The team, of course, is a sum of all the workload plans of the team members, and show this information in different aggregations. So what do I mean by that? Okay, this is an example. This is the information that we can show. So it's show the allocation, remaining capacity, show tasks from all programs. This is actually an enterprise feature, but it's very easy to work around that. As I mentioned in the beginning, you can create a program that actually includes all your JIRA items. Because when we're planning, of course, how can we plan without the risk of underestimating or over allocating? Well, it's very difficult unless you have all your tasks within JIRA. Yeah. Other than that, what can we do? Well, we have all those different colors here representing the allocation. The green has a threshold of 75%, and well, 75% this is the area in which we want to be, because yellow is between 75% allocation and 100%. And again, such planning does not take much uncertainty into account. And of course, again, we assume that if we plan to the 100% allocation, all my tasks, including all my meetings, coffee breaks, and so on and so forth, have to be in JIRA, which is not the case most often. So I would be very cautious, especially in the early stages of planning. So do not plan too much, simply. One of the latest features available for this module is the skill panel. So of course we have, let's say we have the resource, he is available, but does he have the required skill to complete a task? That's another important question that we need to address. If he doesn't, well, when will this skill be available? So this is another important information that you need to identify doing your planning. Okay, and there is also a sneak peek preview of the resource allocation, a simplified one. You can enable it here on the Gantt chart, which only uses the original estimate effort mode. So you don't have to move back and forth from one module to the other, although the resources module is far more advanced than the Gantt resource panel. And then, as I also mentioned, risk management is a crucial part of any activity, and as I did a lot of risk assessments in my life, it's very important that you do it as early as possible, okay? Before you even start the planning. Think about what could go wrong. Failure, you know, things happen, as one of the, as was mentioned today already, but it's very important. And why is it important? Because if you don't identify your risks, then the outcome might be, okay, you will not be, when the risk occurs, you will not be able to mitigate it, okay? Or you won't have sufficient resources to mitigate, or sufficient resources, yeah? So it's very important that you mitigate the risks, unless, of course, you have a huge appetite for risk, which can be also the case, but that would involve a huge budget as well. So do your risk assessment, identify what can go wrong, what are the consequences, calculate the level of risk. If it's acceptable, then fine. If not, you need to move on this probability axis, yeah, to reduce the probability of occurrence to an acceptable level. And of course, to do so, you need additional means, okay? And those means, again, cost money. So you need to include them in the plan. If you do not include them in your plan, then when something goes wrong, you'll have a serious problem. So the tool is capable to actually display, we use two fields here, two single select type of fields, custom fields, risk probability, risk consequence. This is customizable metrics, so you can adjust it to your agile processes, simplify it to 2 times 2 dimensions, however you'd like, and you can also customize the view of your risks, of your risk register. What you see right here are all those different issue types. So again, the requirement for whatever issue type within JIRA to be presented in this view is to have those 2 fields, risk probability and risk consequence, added to your issue screens, and you need values for both of them because the plugin needs to know where to place, in which box of the matrix place the card. There are different approaches to that. Basically, I would recommend having a separate project to maintain your risks, because this is not an issue, and we can display any tasks available in JIRA. And we also have gadgets, so you can create a nice dashboard with your Gantt, with your risks, and all other charts available within JIRA. And that's a great source of information to be up to date. It's all in real time. It's updated all in real time, both for Confluence and for JIRA dashboards. So as for portfolio management, it is very easy to generally move from one view to the other, to change the scope, to narrow the scope to high-level work packages only. This is an example of only my epics. And again, it's totally up to you how you would like to achieve this. You can do this as a fixed program, okay? For more technically advanced users, you can do it yourself. It's totally up to you how you would like to approach that. We're very flexible on that. Same applies to the board. So basically, to achieve a high-level view of my epics, all I need to do is apply a quick filter or type a simple JQL issue type equal epics to achieve a high-level overview. The epics also have an aggregation, have a way to display number of issues completed within each epic and number of story points completed within each epics. On top of that, you also have this basic indicator here, number of issues in each status category. So in other words, we can simply manage multiple JIRA projects in one program. More than that, we can actually utilize the concept of what we call artificial tasks to actually group our projects and aggregate the numbers, roll up to a custom level. There are no limits on that. You can create as many levels as you'd like. On top of that, and as an outcome, achieve this reporting view with different indicators, whatever data is available in JIRA. You can also monitor your programs on this high-level Gantt line of the program manager, although I would definitely recommend using the Gantt chart for that purpose, because you will get more information and it relies on whatever is available in JIRA. It's synchronized live, unlike this one, which is just an idea of what's happening. Yeah, so very, very simplified view, although we are redesigning this to be more flexible, and this is something we are doing now. So about what we are currently working on, so and what will be available in a couple of weeks, couple of months. We refer to it as a box revolution. Why? Because it's kind of like a magic black box where you'll be able to do all sorts of stuff that only I think our CEO understands at that point, because it gets really complicated, guys. It just gets so complicated. We will be able to create this portfolio view with whatever approach you are using, whether it's Agile, project, ART, program increments, iterations, and they all might impact each other, and we had to structure it, find a way to structure it, and other than that, integrate with other tools as well. So hence the hence the concept of this box. So boxes contain all the information and might contain other boxes. So it gets really complicated here. I will not go into that many details. But what is the idea? The idea is that we have an overview of all the different types of projects that you might be running within JIRA in one view. Okay, so that's our goal. And few words about upcoming features, guys. So first of all, April, we plan to release Board 2.0, which we're very excited about. This will be a whole new experience of working with this board that you've seen previously, which actually has a couple of years already. So we could say that it's getting a bit old. So it's a redesigned Board 2.0. Looks more like the roadmap module. You will be able to customize your cards, still show the dependencies, manage your backlog more efficiently, calculate more data, monitor more metrics, monitor the teams and individual capacity at any element, any iteration, any program increment. Very highly anticipated and long-awaited feature, sandbox or simulation mode, which is currently not available for a couple of reasons, but we are working on it. Phase 1 was already implemented, so you'll be able to find out the optimal solution, optimal resource allocations, compare different scenarios. Very, very, very useful feature. And guys, as was mentioned previously, to sum up, we understand that implementing a new tool is a challenge. Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. Like with everything, and this is not a new tool. This is another new tool. And we are already using so many tools, and this is a huge tool that has hundreds of features. So we do understand that implementing might be challenging. So how we can help is, first of all, we have a very highly rated and reactive support team. I'm also helping the support team, but I'm also a trainer, and we also have those free webinars which you can attend on Wednesday every Wednesday and Friday. You'll find more information on our website, our documentation on Confluence pages, and we also provide training, okay? On-site or online. You can also use our partners who can also help you with that. What I'm saying that is that some, at least initial, training is required, okay, guys? Otherwise, there is a risk that unintentionally someone can do a lot of harm to your data. And I think that's about it from my side, guys. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, I will be here. Actually, I have a flight tomorrow, so I'm available. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
First. And as it appears, Big is not only beautiful as you started, but Big is also very complex, which kind of reminds me that Lina Freiwald, who at some point was project portfolio manager in Swedbank, was very strongly standing for a thing that people who are to be project managers and running teams like that probably need to have specific training and certification to actually be able to grasp all of the parts and utilize the components and actually make their teams work effectively. So, any questions? Was anything left unclear from that? No questions.
No
I think
questions.
the best part is that if you feel you're working with that, then perhaps going and looking at the webinars and things is the part that is worth going on. And I think that as the presentation was recorded, I hope it will be available on the atlassian.twn.de webpage in some time, as the speed was so high that I have also no questions. You
we
have.
do have a question.
It's not a question, but it's not really a question, but I do like the box concept very much. I think that's very promising. So good to see.
Thank
that
you.
coming
I'll
up in the
definitely
product.
forward it to our CEO.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you don't have questions, so maybe a few more words from my experience working with customers. Well, so there's a lot available already. It's really a 2-day training is sometimes it's not sufficient, but there's a lot of going on as well, and from what we can do is simply to help you get to deploy the product, to implement it in your organization. So I would definitely, and this applies to customers, potential customers, or actually anyone who will contact us, contact our support team. You have an idea, you have a concept. Probably we already have it in our backlog, so we'll be able to tell you, to link you to that request and tell you when it might be available. But first of all, we can share all the experience that we gather from all those 15,000 customers. And at the end of the day, we all have similar problems that needs to be resolved. And if not, there's always the opportunity to learn something new and benefit from that. So thank you very much. One more question.
I would also like to add something to your presentation, because your plugin is one of my favorites from the marketplace, and I've been utilizing it for like 5 years. So if anybody needs to build like a powerful product plan, or like, let's say, project plan or yearly development plan, then in BigPicture it is really possible to have it in one view, all of your project in one view, hierarchically organized, and it takes about 3 months to implement, provided that your JIRA is well organized before that.
Yes,
if it's not, then it's gonna be 6 months at least. So not to give you any like wild ideas, but
on average,
if you do it, it's really amazing.
Any more questions?
There you go. And I've seen like large customers implementing safe on that. And I mean, that works. Of course, it requires a lot of knowledge of what you are doing and the approach and the coach, but it's possible.
Yeah. So guys, about implementation, I was like talking. Quick story. I was talking to a customer from Intel, and I was asking them, okay, so they had like tons of features and also reported a lot of bugs that we had to fix. So that's good, obviously. But I was asking, what I wanted to find out is, how did you manage to implement this solution in such a company, huge company? And he said, well, we keep it simple. We keep it simple. What we basically do is we introduce it as a visualization tool. I mentioned all those advanced features, but the basic functionality and the most important one is to visualize what is within your JIRA, which is not possible using JIRA only. Of course, then afterwards, what happens is that, okay, we liked assuming that you liked what you see, you'll say, okay, I like that, but maybe it can also do something else. Yeah. Instead of pushing it, which is not the best way. Yeah. You just slowly introduce, step by step, plan your implementation. Make it as simple as possible. Let's put it this way. Let's say, guys, we have now a nice way to visualize the dependencies on a board. We don't have to use papers. We can share that with all the users. That's it. There is a huge value already. Yeah, but there's a lot more that can follow. So the trick is to make your colleagues come to you with requests, not forcing your solutions on your colleagues. Any other questions?
No questions?
Okay.
No questions.
All right, so thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And like everybody else, you have a possibility to pick for your next picnic, blue or yellow.
Fuck. Blue.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then you guys can also pick. I left the own guys to be at the end, so you can pick blue or yellow. Okay, then what's left for me is probably blue. Anyway, thank you to all presenters. Thank you to Trinidad Weissman for organizing the event and getting all of you here. We hopefully are going to see you on a next event. And I have noticed that this time we had kind of less questions than on the previous time. In the previous times we had more user stories and less product information. So perhaps we can think that we can next time mix together some format of user stories plus vendors taking something like there have been very proud demonstration on earlier times from big bank and different government side entities demonstrating how they have been doing. And what if we have a demonstration like that and then have the guys from BigPicture or whatever tell that, by the way, if you'd find a possibility to invest one more half-year development cycle and some trainings, you could actually turn that around and make that work in way more wonderful way. So to get the influence just on stage to the things. Anyway, thank you also from my side. You have been a wonderful audience by giving me enough time to give my own comments also. There has earlier happened that I haven't gotten any word in as a moderator, which kind of is also good part. Now, we have still about an hour for networking. And the guys from the vendor side will be still here. You can grab them. And if I'm not wrong, maybe there is still something left also to make the talking a bit more fluent. So, see you next time. We'll definitely announce when it will be happening. And let's come together.